You didn't just watch Colin Cowherd go off, you felt it. 1 minute, he's calmly rattling off his usual takes with that signature smug confidence. And the next, he's tearing into the Cleveland Browns like they just committed a federal offense on live TV. And honestly, according to him, they basically did. Because in Colin's world, what the Browns did to Shedeur Sanders wasn't just bad coaching. It was criminal mismanagement. His words, not exaggerated. This wasn't your usual sports desk finger-wagging. This was a full-blown courtroom drama with Cowherd playing judge, jury, and media executioner. If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. So what sparked this volcanic monologue? Simple. The Browns benched Shedeur Sanders, Deion Sanders' son, college football phenom, budding NFL poster child, in favor of Dillon Gabriel. Yeah, that Dillon Gabriel. Good kid. Sure, solid resume, but compared to Shedeur, you'd think the Browns had swapped a diamond for a paperweight. And the internet? It exploded. Cowherd's rant spread faster than a locker room rumor during preseason. Hashtag Free Shedeur and hashtag Stand With 12 were suddenly everywhere. Reddit threads turned into war zones. Twitter, sorry X, turned into a courtroom. Everyone had an opinion, but Cowherd's? His lit the match. Let's rewind. Because this chaos didn't come out of nowhere. The Browns had just wrapped up a preseason where Shedeur showed flashes of brilliance. He had chemistry, poise, that camera-ready confidence that sells jerseys and pulls in ratings. Fans were ready to crown him the future. But come game day, head coach Kevin Stefanski shocked everyone by handing the starting role to Gabriel instead. Now, sure, there were the usual PR platitudes. Something about developing talent gradually, making the best decision for the team, and earning the locker room. The usual paint-by-numbers coach speak. But to Cowherd, this wasn't strategy. It was sabotage. You don't park a Ferrari in the garage to teach you humility, he barked into the mic, veins practically pulsing through his forehead. You drive it. You show it off. That's what Shedeur Sanders is. And you're putting him behind the wheel of a minivan. Now look, Cowherd isn't exactly known for subtlety, but this time he struck a nerve. The rant wasn't just about one quarterback or one team. It was about the NFL's old guard clashing with the new wave. The slow-cook coaching philosophies versus the TikTok-era hunger for instant superstardom. Cowherd didn't just defend Shedeur, he anointed him. He framed him as the next great franchise face. Not just for Cleveland, but for the league. And let's be honest, he knows what he's doing. Colin's not just talking to football fans. He's talking to owners, advertisers, and algorithms. When he says something like, "This is bigger than football," he's not wrong. Because suddenly, every sports network was dissecting his rant. ESPN, FS1, Bleacher Report, they all jumped in. And the Browns? Oh, they were feeling the heat. Inside the organization, things got messy, real messy. Reports started leaking. Anonymous sources, thinly veiled jabs, tension between the coaching staff and front office. Ownership reportedly reassessed their position on Shedeur's development. Translation? They didn't want to be on the wrong side of a media firestorm. Because here's the dirty secret of modern football. Media pressure works. Especially when it comes to the side of trending hashtags and jersey sales. After Cowherd's outburst, Shedeur's merch? Flying off shelves. TV ratings for Browns preseason games? Spiked. Engagement numbers? Off the charts. The business people upstairs? Loving it. So now, Stefanski's in a corner. Damned if he does. Doomed if he doesn't. Stick to his original plan. And he risks looking like an out-of-touch gatekeeper who can't read the room. Give Shedeur the ball, and he concedes the public pressure, a move that undermines every football decision he's made. Either way, his authority is toast. Meanwhile, Cowherd's riding high. He positioned himself as the voice of reason in a sea of outdated thinking. He didn't just criticize, he championed. He turned what should have been a preseason depth chart decision into a national referendum on the future of quarterback development. And he's not wrong about the broader shift happening in the league, because we're not just watching games anymore. We're watching stories. We're following arcs, building legends. And Shedeur, he's the main character. He's got the name, the narrative, the swagger. He belongs on the field at center stage. But for every viral highlight, there's a coach in the background trying to manage egos, temper expectations, and keep a 53-man roster from unraveling. That's what Stefanski was probably trying to do. Emphasis on was, because after this mess, any sense of control he had is now firmly in the rear view. Cowherd called it what it was, a clash of paradigms. The old-school coaching mentality versus the new-age media machine. The patient development model versus the start the star, sell the dream model. And in this case, the dream is winning, or at least trending. The wild part? Shedeur didn't even say anything. He stayed silent through the whole thing. No cryptic tweets. No passive-aggressive interviews. Just work through practice like a pro. And that silence, it only made Cowherd's case louder. Because nothing screams marketable QB1 like quiet confidence under pressure. But let's talk about that locker room for a second. You think the rest of the Browns are just chilling while their rookie backup becomes the face of a viral uprising? You think Dylan Gabriel's feeling secure right now? That locker room is one awkward team meeting away from a full-blown reality show. This isn't just about a quarterback battle anymore. It's about a power struggle. Coaching staff versus media. Ownership versus football ops. Fans versus tradition. And in the middle of it all, a 21-year-old kid who just wanted to play football and maybe flex a little drip on the sidelines. The Browns front office is now scrambling to rewrite the narrative. Leaks to reporters. Strategic appearances by Stefanski. Maybe even a carefully staged Shedeur is earning his reps soundbite. But good luck putting that toothpaste back in the tube. The public has picked its side, and surprise, it's a guy whose dad has a reality show and a Nike deal. And look, we've seen this before. The media latches onto a player, manufactures urgency, fan demand action, and boom, organizations cave. But what makes this one feel different is how fast it all happened. One Cowherd rant, and suddenly it's a national controversy. That's not just influence, that's leverage. And it raises a big, uncomfortable question. Are teams still run by coaches, or are they managed by media momentum? Because if a single take can shift a franchise's plans, what happens to the long game? What happens to the process? The trust the system model is breaking down under the weight of trending topics and instant analytics. Cowherd may have exaggerated, sure. He always does. But this time, it wasn't just hot air. He exposed a crack in the NFL's armor, a weakness in the hierarchy that the league can't ignore anymore. And that's the real story here. It's not about whether Shedeur Sanders should start. It's about what happens when the narrative becomes a playbook. The Browns now face a lose-lose. Follow the media's lead and admit you got it wrong, or stay the course and risk mutiny from the fans, the merch team, and maybe even your own locker room. Meanwhile, Cowherd gets to sit back, sip his coffee, and pat himself on the back for being right all along. And somewhere in a quiet film room, Shedeur Sanders is probably just waiting, biding his time, letting everyone else argue while he gets ready for the moment he knows is coming. Because if the saga has taught us anything, it's that you can't stop a media-made star. You can only delay the premiere. So what did we learn, class? If you're an NFL coach in 2025, you better have a social media strategist sitting next to your offensive coordinator. Because in this league, it's not just about who can throw the best deep ball. It's about who can win the war of public perception. And if you're Kevin Stefanski, maybe start prepping for a press conference that starts with, "After careful consideration, we've decided." Oh, and Colin? He's probably already working on his next "I told you so." Welcome to the NFL's new era, where the mic is mightier than the playbook, and one media meltdown can shift the fate of a franchise. Now go ahead. Light up that comment section. Are you riding with hashtag #FreeShedeur or Team Stefanski? And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Because trust me, this isn't the last time a sports take breaks the internet. Let's be real. At this point, this isn't even about football anymore. It's about power. It's about ego. It's about who gets to write the script in 2025. The guy with the headset or the guy with the mic. And Colin Cowherd, He just reminded the entire league that his mic is very live. Because here's the thing nobody wants to say out loud. Shedeur Sanders was never going to be just another rookie. He walked into the league with more clout than half the veteran starters. His dad is Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, walking media circus and motivation machine. His NIL value in college was higher than some NFL contracts. The man has already lived through more press conferences than most backup QBs will ever see. So when the Browns picked him up, they weren't just drafting talent. They were adopting a media empire. And somehow, Stefanski thought he could slow cook this story like it's 1998. Bless his heart. The NFL has evolved into reality TV with pads, and Stefanski's still trying to run Game Manager Season 3 when the network already greenlit Primetime Junior, franchise savior. The world wants a star. The world needs a narrative. And Colin Cowherd, love him or hate him, is the guy who knows how to build one. That's why his meltdown hit different. It wasn't just outrage. It was production. He hit every beat like a man who'd been waiting months to drop the monologue. The betrayal, the injustice, the perfectly timed pauses. He wasn't just defending Shedeur. He was directing Shedeur's career like he was up for an Emmy. And honestly, he may have earned it. Because let's not pretend the Browns have a squeaky clean record when it comes to quarterback decisions. If there's a franchise with a PhD in ruining potential, it's this one. Quarterbacks enter Cleveland with talent and leave with trauma. So when Cowherd accused him of criminal mismanagement, the only thing shocking was that it took this long to get someone that mad about it. You could feel the exasperation boiling in his voice. This isn't 1995. You don't develop stars anymore. You launch them. He practically yelled. And yeah, maybe it sounded dramatic, but he's not wrong. Look around. Caleb Williams is already being treated like a brand. Arch Manning hasn't thrown a single meaningful college pass, and he's got national endorsement deals. This isn't just football. It's Hollywood with cleats. And that's the lens Cowherd sees the game through. He's not analyzing drives. He's reading scripts. So when Stefanski tried to bury the lead, Cowherd pulled it back out, highlighter in hand, and read it to the nation. And the nation listened. That's the part that's still making NFL execs sweat. One man on a sports talk show said, "Play this kid or you're insane." And now a billion-dollar franchise is being forced to reconsider. Not by data, not by results, but by vibes, viral vibes. Ownership's looking at spreadsheets showing record engagement. The marketing department's booking new campaigns. And the players? Some are quietly rolling their eyes. Others are watching their own social stats to see if they can ride the wave. Because this is the new NFL economy. Publicity is currency. Influence is capital. And Colin Cowherd just handed Shedeur a blank check. Now, let's pause for a second and ask the obvious question. What if Shedeur isn't ready? What if Stefanski is right? What if the Browns are actually trying to protect him from the exact hype machine that's now pressuring them to unleash him? Too bad. That ship has sailed. Because here's what happens now. If Shedeur gets a start and kills it, Cowherd looks like a prophet. A media messiah who saw through the noise and spoke truth into existence. But if Shedeur struggles, doesn't matter. The blame won't fall on Cowherd. It'll circle back to Stefanski. Why wasn't he ready? Why wasn't he developed faster? What did you do to him? This is a trap. The no-win scenario that unfolds when narrative overtakes logic. And Stefanski? He's knee-deep in it. But it's not just about him anymore. This saga has become a template. Every coach in the league just got a loud, flashy reminder. If you try to control the story without controlling the media will write the ending for you. And Cowherd? He's not just writing it. He's printing it in bold. What's wild is that Cowherd knows he's doing it. That's the part that makes it so maddeningly effective. He's not a journalist. He's a storyteller with a sports budget. He doesn't care about X's and O's. He cares about arcs, villains, and redemption. And Shedeur Sanders is the golden protagonist. Young, talented, charismatic, and, crucially, under-delivered. He's the quarterback equivalent of a breakout Netflix star stuck doing indie films. And Cowherd just signed him to a 10-episode miniseries titled QB1, Stolen Spotlight. And let's not pretend this isn't contagious. Because as soon as Colin's rant went viral, every other talking head jumped on the train. Is Shedeur being wasted in Cleveland? Did the Browns make a historic mistake? How long until ownership pulls the plug? The segment economy kicked in fast. Everyone smelled blood and monetized the chaos. Meanwhile, Gabriel, bless him, is just trying to run a clean offense while Twitter's calling him generic brand QB. You can almost hear the HBO theme music starting to swell. And now you've got this weird limbo where no one's officially said anything, but everyone knows something's coming. You can feel the pressure rising. Every press conference feels like it's one question away from detonating. Every play Shedeur runs in practice gets dissected like the Zapruder film. And Cowherd, he's just casually doubling down. If Shedeur played in Kansas City, he'd be Mahomes 2.0. Sir, please, let us breathe, but we can't stop watching. That's the thing. This whole mess is entertainment. It's addicting. It's messy. It's real. It's exactly what the NFL has become, an engine of performance, on and off the field. And this isn't the end of it, not by a long shot. Because now Shedeur isn't just a player, he's a symbol, a pawn in the bigger chess game between old school football and new school branding, between gritty coaching philosophies and polished media strategies. He's the face of the cultural shift, whether he wants to be or not. And Colin Cowherd, he's a narrator dragging us along, frame by frame, like this is the season finale of a drama we didn't even know we were watching. So here we are, standing on the sidelines of Firestorm that started with one benching and spiraled into a referendum on the entire NFL ecosystem, all because one media guy couldn't take it anymore. And maybe that's the real twist here. Colin's rant, for all its theatrics, didn't just call out Cleveland. It called out the league. It pulled the curtain back on the illusion of control. Because if a team's quarterback depth chart can be rewritten by a trending topic, then maybe, just maybe, football isn't about football anymore. It's about narrative and the people who can bend it. So buckle up. The story's not over. Shedeur's time is coming, whether it's earned or manufactured, whether it's strategic or desperate. And when that day comes, every eye will be on that first snap. Every analyst will be ready to clip, post, spin, and react. And Cowherd? Oh, he'll be there. Front row, smug smile, coffee in hand, already crafting the next chapter of the saga he helped start. This wasn't even supposed to happen. Shedeur Sanders wasn't drafted to be the center of a national controversy. He wasn't meant to headline a media coup. He was supposed to ride the bench quietly, learn the system, maybe show up in garbage time, and wait his turn. The classic rookie arc. The same arc every coach swears by until the internet decides otherwise. But the moment the Browns tried to sit him, the sports media complex hit DEFCON 1. And Colin Cowherd, he slammed the big red button. Now, it's not about the game plan. It's about the optics. It's not about the locker room. It's about leverage. And Shedeur, just by existing in the spotlight, became the unwilling quarterback of a much bigger movement. The modern NFL's complete inability to keep its secrets. Let's not pretend that Cleveland was ever going to keep this quiet. You think you can stash a quarterback with that last name, that hype, that Instagram engagement, and just hope nobody notices he's not playing? You think Dion wasn't going to say something eventually? That social media wasn't going to light up after every throw he made in warm-ups? All Cowherd did was rip the lid off the pressure cooker before it exploded on its own. He gave voice to what the public was already whispering. He just did it louder, with reverb and surround sound. And the league, God bless it, has no idea how to handle this new era. The NFL still wants to act like it's immune to narrative pressure, that coaches decide playing time in film rooms, not studios. But we all saw what happened here. A single rant, a few million views, and suddenly the Browns are rethinking their depth chart. It's not even subtle anymore. And don't get it twisted. This isn't just about Colin Cowherd. He's just the face of it. He's a polished, well-dressed embodiment of a larger trend. The media no longer reports the news in sports. It creates it, shapes it, weaponizes it. In the old days, the media would ask the questions. Now, they are the question. Let's zoom in on the timeline for a second, because it's actually hilarious how fast this escalated. On Monday, Shedeur is quietly taking second-team reps. By Wednesday, Cowherd's rant drops. By Thursday, the Browns' PR department is practically throwing together a last-minute Shedeur-heavy highlight reel. And by Friday, the local press is asking Stefanski if there's been a reevaluation at quarterback. It's chaos in real time, not even the kind you can script. This is the kind that spirals so fast that by the time someone tries to get in front of it, the moment's already gone viral. And in the middle of it, there's a kid who hasn't played a snap in the regular season yet, being turned into a symbol of generational culture war. That's the part that should make your head spin. Because while Stefanski's over here trying to build a game plan, the rest of the world is watching Shedeur like he's a contestant on The Bachelor. Will he get the rose? Will he get the start? Will there be a dramatic locker room confrontation caught on someone's Instagram Live? We're not watching for strategy. We're watching for storylines. And Shedeur's story? It's irresistible. He's young, flashy, composed. He's got a famous father in his corner, a giant chip on his shoulder, and a media empire that treats his every move like breaking news. He's practically engineered for 2025 fandom. And that's exactly why the Browns never had a chance of keeping this quiet. Because this league, this version of the NFL, doesn't reward caution. It doesn't reward patience. It rewards moments, headlines, clicks, clips, the kind of things that Cowherd can sink his teeth into and spin into a 10-minute monologue that turns into a full-on organizational crisis. And Cleveland? They just became a masterclass in how not to handle it. Let's be generous for a second and say Stefanski genuinely believed he was protecting Shedeur, that sitting him was part of a longer plan, that bringing him along slowly would prevent burnout, give him time to develop, earn respect, blah, blah, blah. Sounds noble, right? But that's not how this works anymore. Not when everyone with a podcast mic thinks they're a quarterback guru. Not when social media starts measuring QB readiness by who has better pregame tunnel fits. Not when your rookie backup has more screen time than your starter. The Browns wanted to run a quiet, traditional operation, but they accidentally stepped into a media thunderstorm, and Cowherd brought the lightning. And now, no matter what happens, they lose, start Shedeur, and it looks like they gave in. Sit him again, and it looks like they're spiteful. Play him and he struggles? Told you he wasn't ready. Play him and he shines? Why didn't you start him earlier? It's lose-lose in every possible direction. And somewhere in Los Angeles, Cowherd is sipping an almond milk latte, knowing he did that. And you know what's next, right? Every franchise with a hotshot rookie is now on watch. Every coach with a plan to ease in their new star is now on high alert. Because Colin just drew a blueprint for how to blow up that plan in under 72 hours. It's a new rule book now. And it reads more like an influencer brand strategy than a playbook. So what does this mean long-term? It means player development is no longer a purely internal process. It's external. It's performative. It's gamified. If a rookie wants playing time, they don't just need to impress their coaches. They need to impress the public. Get a buzz. Get some headlines. Get a guy like Cowherd in your corner. Because if you can do that, you don't wait for your turn. You make it. And that, right there, is the real power shift. Not just in Cleveland. Not just in this story. But in the entire structure of modern professional football. The media doesn't just influence the game anymore. It dictates it. Cowherd, in one rant, proved that. He showed that a single voice, amplified at the right time, can turn a personnel decision into a national spectacle. He turned a quarterback controversy into a content goldmine. And in doing so, he pulled the curtain back on a system that pretends to be immune to pressure, but clearly isn't. So what happens next? Probably the inevitable. The Browns cave. Shedeur gets a shot. The ratings spike. The jersey sales climb. And Stefanski starts every press conference looking like he hasn't slept in a month. Or maybe they double down. Keep him on the bench. Ride or die with Gabriel. Try to weather the PR storm. But either way, the damage is done. The story's already been told. And Cowherd, he'll do what he always does. Sit back, smile, remind everyone that he was right, and then When the next young QB gets snubbed, the next controversy brews, the next fan base starts a hashtag campaign, he'll strike again. Because in this league, coaches coach, players play, but the media decides. And you can scream about football reasons and locker room dynamics all you want. At the end of the day, it's not just about who can move the chains. It's about who can move the narrative. So tell me, are you watching for the game or are you watching for the show? Because at this point, they're the same thing. And Colin Cowherd, he just stole the script.